All right. And we're back. We're live at Expert 35, 35 different industries, expert from each, talking about the challenges, the hardship, and the opportunities. Man, this week has been crazy with all the interviews we did, but I hope you follow us. If you want to join us on Expert 35. Text Expert 35 to the number on the screen. Today, we're going to talk about liability. We're going to talk about insurance, and there's no better expert than Jana to help us out. Text Expert07 to follow her. Jana, thank you so much for being on the show today.
Hey, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Man, it's going to be so much fun. And I mean, when you say fun and talk about insurance, but man, there's so many things that are happening in, reopening and obviously the closing. So both sides. But before we get in there, like, how did you get in there? 15 years of experience. Like, how did you get into all this?
It's a family thing. My dad does it. My husband works at Travelers. I needed a job when I got out of college, and it's been really good to me. I get to learn every day, and I get to learn about other people's businesses. So I've really loved it.
Yes, I think you can see the passion and you see that you're actually like helping people. I'm going to throw this. Normally we don't throw questions on the screen so early, but this isn't even a question. This is just a statement. COVID, it's like a hurricane that hit all 50 states.
And it is. And that's what insurance is not made for. It's made for it to be, one city is devastated, but the other cities can step in and help. So yeah, it's tough. It's tough for everybody.
Yeah, no, and we're in Houston, so we know what hurricanes feel like, but there's always a sense of like, oh, it's over, and now it's like, what is this, right?
Yeah, it just keeps going. Yeah.
Hmm. Well, a big question. Obviously, it hit, and a lot of people are unemployed, but also businesses. We're going to talk a little bit more on the business side. The what do we know about? Does insurance cover lost income?
For most of your policies, most business owners, insurance covers loss of income, but not specifically for the virus or bacteria. There's an exclusion on most policies that will exclude loss of income from a virus or a bacteria. Certainly talk to your insurance agent. Every policy is different. So ask your insurance agent, and I'm encouraging everybody to file claims. Even if it's not covered, go ahead and file the claim. It's not going to hurt you. And at least that way you'll be on record that you tried. And if at one point they do come back and they pay the claims, you'll be there.
You'll be in line, absolutely. So this almost happened in Harvey. We were helping people file claims and get denied, and then they got FEMA help, but they wouldn't get FEMA help if they couldn't prove that their insurance didn't cover them.
Yeah.
Right. So that was kind of like a really interesting fact of how even government help, if there is some sort of aid, right? Just have the record and be in line, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, obviously we have time on our hands. There's a lot of things happening. What can businesses do right now to take advantage of all that extra time?
Something that I think every business should do is go through and actually look at their policy. And if you do have time as a business owner, go through and read your exclusions. There's usually a nice list. It should take you, 15, 20 minutes, read through it. And if you don't know what the exclusion means, ask your insurance agent, because it's really important to know what you're paying for and what you're not paying for.
And so important, right? One of the questions that I had was, your D&O policy. Right? We're a small company. Should we shop that out and separate it, or should we just keep it all lumped under one broker?
You mean like your D&O carrier is the same as your property insurance carrier?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The insurance companies that do really well, that write insurance at a great premium and great coverage for D&O, might not be the same ones that do a great job on property. So it depends. Sometimes you can break it out and get a really good price. Sometimes it's good to lump it all together. But it's something to ask your insurance agent. Yeah.
And I think one of the things we talked earlier too is it's good if you're a small company to have your agent know everything about you, right?
It's so much easier if you have a claim to have one person to call, or if you have a question to have one person to call. And if your insurance agent has all of your policies, they'll have a good idea of how you're covered and where there might be holes. So yeah, for a small, medium-sized company, definitely have everything with one insurance agent.
Yeah, and it's just so interesting, especially as liability increases. We had to go through a lawsuit once, and the insurance immediately was like, "No, we're not settling. We're going through this." And I mean, it was so helpful, like having our agent and also like the representative on both sides, kind of navigating through that. And I'm sure you're going to start seeing that as we reopen, right? You're going to see a lot of claims. What kind of claims do you expect?
We're thinking we're going to see some more fraudulent claims. Anytime the economy goes down, you see people trying to get something for free. And so you'll see more slip and falls. You'll see fraudulent auto accidents. Something that I've had happen to a lot of my clients is they'll have their commercial vehicles, they'll have them wrapped with their company name on them. And some lowlife will sit in that person's blind spot and wait until your employee changes lanes, and then it's your employee's fault, but it was a fraudulent accident. So it's definitely a good time to be very careful, especially if you're reopening a small store. Make sure there aren't any hazards to slip on, cover up the cords, that kind of thing. Yeah.
Absolutely right. So here's Jamie has a question. Can I buy insurance for the next pandemic?
Oh, so yeah, I have not seen an affordable policy yet for the small to medium-sized businesses. I know large hotel chains and some hospitals buy insurance for it, but for the average sized business, it's not available yet. They're working on it. They are, but
Mhm.
nothing quite yet.
Well, and I think you almost started answering this question, Amber. How much has the industry changed as a result of the pandemic, right? And I
Mm,
think one of the things we were talked about offline was you were saying, "Hey, there's going to be a lot more fraudulent claims,
mhm.
and it's not a victimless crimes. Who's paying for the fraud?"
We are. You and I are, Gabriel. I think it's 30% of your premium goes towards paying the fraudulent claims. The insurance company isn't left holding that bucket. They pass it on
Right.
to you and me. But as far as the industry changing due to the pandemic, I think we've all opened our eyes to there's this big gap in our risk management program. And how do we cover it? How do we protect ourselves? So the insurance industry is trying to find that answer. The government's trying to find that answer. We're trying to find it. I just don't think we know it yet.
Well, and I've known a underwriter for forever that like they look at the numbers and they have to look at it mathematically, right? And mathematics means you need time, not just cases. And there's just no timeline, to really jump in there. So it's just they're probably gonna over adjust. So
Yeah.
whatever policy comes out is going to be way too expensive because there's just not enough understanding of what it's going to do. And I think this question pops right in is like, will my policy protect me, right, if they get sick?
Every policy is different. Right now, most of them do have that bacteria and virus exclusion. So you're talking about your customers specifically coming onto your premise and getting
Yeah.
sick of customers. Your employees, that's a different story. You definitely need to file that claim with your workers' comp insurance. But if
Hmm.
your customers come on, that might not be an area that you have coverage. Back in, what was it, 2006, 2007, when SARS and MERS came around, that was when the insurance actuaries, those people that decide how much it costs, realized how much money it would be if a big pandemic hit. And that's when they started putting these virus and bacteria exclusions on your policy.
Are those riders or there exclusions? Is there a rider? What's that? What's the difference?
You can call it a rider, you can call it an endorsement, you can call it an exclusion. Insurance likes to make it confusing. It's all different words, it all means the same thing. You have your basic policy and an addition onto it.
Okay, so we are totally gonna have a like not today. I'm not gonna put you on the spot today, but I would love to bring you back and talk about like those definitions because you just blew my mind that all three things are the exact same thing.
Yeah, pretty much. Sorry.
So you're coming back because I mean I can see it. People are already like, what? What? I'm like, yes, we need to come back and talk about like here's what some of these things mean because if we break it down, that may actually help some people, especially in the pandemic. Something that we forget is we're in shock.
Yeah.
And when people are in shock, it's even hard to just read. It's hard to like just sit down and make time, because your head's spinning. But something that you guys do as agents is you guys will actually sit down with somebody and help them understand their policy, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and that's something that any insurance agent should offer for free. just to kind of go over it with you. So your existing agent should help you. If you need to get a second opinion, any good agent you call will help you get a second opinion on your policy.
Now, and you'll get it. Oh, well, that's important. You'll get a second opinion. You're gonna shout out from Shanna. So you're, it's great. You can get a second opinion, and
Definitely.
at the same time, insurance for the most part is prorated, right? So sometimes there's like a 25% earn out or something. What's that called?
Yeah, so minimum earned. So it depends
Yeah.
on your policy. For your standard business owner, your bakery, your restaurant, your insurance is prorated, and you could cancel it at any time. But for your more different businesses, you might have that 25% minimum earned or fully earned. So you'd have to look at that.
Right. Okay. So that means that if you're already past the 25% or you can actually cancel, you get your money back. That's super important. And so this kind of leads into Jessica's got a question. How can I reduce my insurance premium? That's probably on everybody's mind.
Yeah, especially right now. I would talk to your insurance agent if you have lower receipts, annual receipts, or lower payroll. You can talk to them about getting a midterm audit. Not every insurance company will do it, but certainly that's really important right now. Ask for it, and you could get money back right now if your receipts are lower and your payrolls are lower. I would definitely suggest that.
And you said a midterm audit?
So you call up your insurance agent, you say, hey, my receipts are down, my payroll is down. What can I do? Can I get this money back? Um,
Hmm.
and the insurance agent should know to ask your insurance company for a midterm audit.
That's awesome. Yeah, because we do get an audit every year, and we fill it out based on the best info. But clearly, this year is not going to be anything like any other year. The
Definitely.
So great info. I love that. We'll totally bring you back for the definitions. My favorite part of the show, expert opinion, 3 things to do now.
Yeah. Well, okay. So first off, Jessica just hit on one. I would call your insurance agent and ask for that midterm audit. Tell them your payroll and your sales are down. That's one. Two, we already talked about file the claim. We don't think they're going to be paid, but go ahead and do it. You need to know if it's going to be paid. And then the fourth, I'm sorry, there's only 3, right? The third is take some time and really evaluate your insurance policy. Sit down with your CPA and your insurance agent and just really understand what's there and make sure that you feel covered and comfortable.
Super great advice. And actually, you just brought up a good point, right? You're all part of the team, right?
Yeah.
It's your insurance agent, your partners in crime, right? Or in business, your insurance, you said your CPA.
Yay. It's so hard for a business owner to know everything about running the
Mhm,
business. So having a good CPA, having a good agent, insurance agent, having a good attorney,
mhm.
get all those people together.
Absolutely. And I think that's what I'm trying to like bring out is like there are these experts out there that you should get before you need them. Insurance is one of those. You can't get insurance after the fact. So talk to you first, but
Mhm.
also the lawyer. Like we talked to them, earlier in the week with Bradley. It's like get
Bradley's
him engaged because before you need them, you guys are almost all working in unison so that if there is a problem, you're not scrambling and then all of a sudden hit with a big bill or sometimes it's when you're more prepared when you don't ever need insurance, and that's actually kind of what we're hoping people do is like take this time to prepare.
Yeah. Yeah.
Jana, thank you so much for being on the show. It's been
That's
so
great.
great
Thank
having you.
you for having me, Gabriel. I appreciate it.
No problem. And just so you know, she is here in Houston. You can text expert07, get her contact info. She'll be happy to do a review, right? You do consultations to kind of understand and evaluate what works for them.
Yeah.
And it's such a important time to do it. We're reopening. We actually talked about what about employee, handbooks? Like if you're reopening, like
Oh,
throw
yeah.
that
You were
out there because
asking.
it's important.
Yeah, I mean, every company should have an employee handbook, even if you only have a few employees. And it doesn't have to be a massive 30-page handbook. It can just be a few pages. And a lot of times your insurance agent or maybe an attorney will have one already prepared and you just kind of adapt it to what you need, email it out to all your employees. That helps because you're making sure you're treating all your employees the same. And if there is a claim, your lawyer has something to help defend you in that claim that you did lay out how things should go.
Mhm.
And this was,
And you can do that now, right? Like we can, even though they've been employed for years, we can just be like, hey,
yeah.
new policies.
Oh, yeah. Most definitely. And if the employee wants to work for you, they need to follow your rules.
So important. I'm so glad we touched that, because that kind of like just brings it all together. Again, Jana, great having you today. Thank you for being on Expert 35.
Yeah.
All right, guys, you've heard it from Jana. We've got next week, I know we got Memorial coming up. We've got a great group of veterans. They're just going to be talking about like some of the hardship they're going through, some of the struggles, and how we can support them. So join us on Memorial Day. We're really going to try to get some good vibes going their way and helping them. And we hope that you join us at Expert 35 on www.expert35.com. Thank you, guys. We'll see you guys next week.